Okay, we're back on the live stream. I'm just holding for the defendant to appear here. All right. So I
We
think
get
we're
ready to wait for a deputy to come down, but he here now.
okay. All right. I think we're ready to go. I am calling State of Georgia versus Alfred Harris. So there at the jail, if you're Alfred Harris, wave at me to confirm that. All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Harris is charged with loitering, warrant 2025 WA 73134, and possession of marijuana more than 1 ounce, warrant 135. And representing the state is Ms. Thomas. Representing Mr. Harris is Mr. Rogers. And Ms. Thomas, you can call your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Um, Detective Fleming, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you should give before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And you can put your hand down, state your name for the record.
Deputy Rob Fleming
And how are you employed?
with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office.
Were you so employed on or about March 5th, 2025?
Yes.
And on that date, did you have occasion to investigate an incident that occurred at 340 Upper Riverdale Road within the confines of the city of Jonesboro?
Yes.
And that's within Clayton County.
Yes.
Did it involve someone by the name of an Alfred Harris?
Yes.
And while we're on that subject, are you able to see everyone in court today?
Yes.
And did the person that you came into contact with on that date, do you see them? If so, identify by physical appearance or article of clothing.
Yes. He has a red jumpsuit on and he has dreadlocks.
Okay. Now, what brought you into contact with Mr. Harris on that date?
Yes, ma'am. On that day, I was doing general patrol in a hotels in the area of Upper Riverdale Road and Terra Boulevard.
Do you recall the
Um,
name of the hotel?
yes.
What would that be?
The Econo Lodge.
Okay. Please
Uh,
continue.
I went to the back of the hotel where majority of our criminal activity occurs. I seen a white vehicle parked in a no loitering sign. And as I approached, I smelled the odor of marijuana. Subsequently, the vehicle moved to the next parking spot. I decided to exit my vehicle and make a tier one contact just to make sure everything's okay. As I approached the vehicle, the defendant rolled the window down and I was able to smell the overwhelming odor of marijuana. I requested the defendant to step out the car, which he complied. I did a field interview on the side of my patrol vehicle, asking why was he at the hotel. The defendant was very admitted that he was there to smoke marijuana with his friend. I asked him, is there any more marijuana in the car? The defendant was very cooperative and stated that yes, it's in the backpack. At that time, I conducted a probable cause search based on the odor and the defendant's admission that
Let me stop you right quick. Now, you indicated he told you he was there to smoke marijuana.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he indicate whether or not he was in fact a resident of the location?
No.
Okay. Please continue.
Yes. After he told.
I'm sorry. Let me follow up that. You said no as if he did not tell you, or no as if he was not a resident?
No, he was not a resident of the hotel.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
Yes. Also during the field interview, he admitted to the marijuana location, which was in the back seat in the black book bag. He was not detained, handcuffed, or anything like that. So at that time, I conducted a probable cause search to make sure there was marijuana in there. I was able to locate 64 grams after weighing it of green leafy material. With my knowledge and training experience, I believe that to be marijuana.
Okay, let me stop you right quick. Now, this backpack, first of all, was there anyone else in the vehicle?
No, ma'am. He was the only occupant of the vehicle.
Did he verbally give permission for you to search the backpack?
He didn't give me permission or anything. He just told me where it was.
He told you it was in the backpack?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you indicated a weight of 64 ounces. How were you able to determine that?
I have a scale in my vehicle. I keep a scale with me because majority of my job description is finding narcotics and guns. And I was able to weight the bag on my scale.
Okay. And is that less than or more than an ounce?
Yes, 2 ounces, almost under 3 ounces.
You say under 3 ounces?
Yeah, it's a little bit above 20, 2 ounces, but just under 3.
Okay. Now, how were you able to determine whether or not what the substance was?
Also, of the odor, his admission of being marijuana, and my training as a former narcotics detective for the Clayton County Drug Task Force, and
So
my multiple.
Go ahead. Please continue.
In my multiple dealings with narcotic-related cases in Clayton County, I was able to determine that it was marijuana.
Now, let me go back to something. You said you were a narcotics officer with the police department?
Yes, ma'am. I was in the Clayton County Drug Task Force.
And does that mean you received some type of specialized training?
Yes, ma'am. We have to take extensive training and investigation in narcotics identification.
Would it be fair to say you've seen this stuff before?
Many times, yes.
Okay. Do you know if it's been tested at this point?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Do you know if the substance has been tested at this point?
At this time, I have no knowledge, but it is at the GBI crime lab.
Okay. Now, after you found the 64 ounces, what did you do next, if anything?
At that time, I placed him in custody for the loitering because he didn't have no reason to be there and admitted to being there for smoking marijuana and possession of marijuana over an ounce.
Now, going back to the loitering part, does the hotel give people permission just to stop on their premises and smoke weed?
No, ma'am. That's why they have the loitering sign in big red on all the wall of the parking lot.
Okay, it kind of cut out for a little bit. You say it's posted?
Yes, ma'am. It is posted.
And then what does the sign say?
No loitering.
Okay. And does that apply to people who are residents of the location?
No, it usually applies to people that are not supposed to be there.
And was Mr. Harris supposed to be there, to the best of your knowledge?
That's correct. He's not supposed to be there.
Okay. You say not?
Not.
Okay, cool. One quick second. Oh, were you equipped with body cam at the time?
Excuse me?
Were you equipped with body cam at the time?
I haven't, you asked me about body cam, you said?
Yes, body cam.
Yes, ma'am, I apologize. Yes, ma'am, my body cam was on.
And do you know if it captured this incident?
Yes, it's attached to the case on the ExxonMobil website that we keep evidence logs.
So the part that we discussed about him telling you where the marijuana was and all of that, that's on the body cam?
I'm not sure about that part. We have a different system for that evidence part, but for body cams, we connect it to the case number.
Okay. I think that's all I have of the office. Oh, one more question. I'm sorry. Goes with the body cam. What about the premises, the property itself? Do you know if it has video?
I believe they have video for the rear. I didn't access it, but I do know they have video cameras back there.
So you all didn't pull that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Reserve right for redirect.
All right, Mr. Rogers.
Let's kind of start at the end there, the part about the body camera. What do you mean you don't know if the statements that you attributed were captured?
For a body camera?
Right.
We just locked the body camera and it goes to the cloud. We put the case number, incident type, and as far as the technical aspect, I have no knowledge, but it does go into a cloud.
Okay. Let me give you a chance to maybe clarify it for me, because I'm not sure. Maybe I misunderstood or somebody misunderstood. What I took the DA to just have asked you was about whether or not your interaction was captured on body camera. What are you saying your answer is exactly?
Yeah, it was captured on body cam because before we make contact, a body cam comes on.
Okay. So then what was the uncertainty part where you said you didn't know? What were you saying you didn't know about?
In terms of how the technical aspect of it, if it's in the cloud, how long it stays, and etc.
So, okay. So just so we're clear, so to your knowledge, the conversation and everything that you just mentioned as far as your investigation or what have you on direct, all of that was recorded on body camera though?
Yes, it was recorded on the body camera.
And is it Detective Fleming? Is that what I'm saying on there now?
Excuse me?
Is it Detective Fleming? Is that what I see on your Zoom?
Yes.
Detective Fleming.
Well, I still got to change it over because I still have it from my PD account. Just never had the time to change it over to deputy.
Can you hear me okay?
Excuse me?
Can you hear me okay?
You're going in and out. Maybe it's because I'm out here in the middle of the country right now. So probably bad reception on my end too.
Now let's kind of go back. If I understood correctly, the hotel is, unless it's an unusual hotel, is open for business, correct?
It is.
Had you received any sort of calls or anything about Mr. Harris?
No, he said what he was there for, and he was waiting for his friend to show up so they could smoke marijuana.
Right. My question was, had you received any phone calls about Mr. Harris?
No, like I said, it was a proactive detail, just driving around hotels, making sure no criminal activity was occurring.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, that was a no? Deputy, can you hear me?
Yeah, it was just like a frost.
You said it froze?
Yes.
Okay. What I was asking, I was saying, so that was no, that there was no call about Mr. Harris?
No, there was no calls about Mr. Harrison.
And Deputy, what's your understanding of what constitutes loitering? Like what is loitering?
Well, loitering is when a time or place where it causes a general alarm to the public. He didn't dispel my suspicion that he was a guest at the hotel. When I made contact with him, he also admitted he didn't have a room, but he was just there to smoke marijuana with his friend. We also asked my counselor, where is his friend located? He said he didn't know where his friend was located.
Okay. Deputy, what do you think? What do you recall my question being just now?
Does this answer your question?
No, I asked you what question did you hear asked? I just want to make sure you're hearing me correctly. What question did you just hear asked?
You asked me what's define loitering.
Okay. And did you say again? 'Cause your reception now, I'm not sure. Did you say I asked you to define loitering? Is that what you said?
And I defined it to you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just asking. First, I don't need the attitude. I'm just asking. Did you say my question was for you to define loitering?
Yes, I define loitering as a person that's at a place of time.
Deputy, my question was, is that what you said? Is that
That's what the law
that's
says.
what you heard? Is that what you heard my question to be?
And I'm not going to object at this point in time. I'm just confused. I'm not sure what Mr. Rogers is trying to get the detective to do.
I'm kind of lost, and I don't know if the detective's definition of loitering is really relevant. I think what I'm reading in the code section would be the only relevant definition of loitering. So I'm going to ask you to move on.
Okay. Well, Judge, part of my issue is that some of, we're having an electronic, it sounds like transmission issue at some point. So part of it is I'm trying to make sure that the deputy is able to hear what I'm asking him.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you to move on to your next question. If we have any problems, we'll fix it from there.
And so back to my question, the you had not received any calls. Had you seen Mr. Harris attempt to make any contact with anyone?
If I'm not, I don't know why your reception's so bad, but can you repeat the question one more time, please?
I asked if you had seen Mr. Harris attempt to make contact with anyone out there.
No, he was in the car.
Had you seen him near anyone's property or anything?
All I know is that he was. I don't know why I can't hear you. It's like a lot of echo and then just going in and out. But I don't want to answer the question if I'm not sure you're.
Understood. Let me try it again. What I asked was, did you see him making contact with anyone's property or anything
No,
like that?
no, he was just sitting in the car.
Do you know how long he had been there when you saw him?
No, when I pulled up, he moved from one parking spot to the next.
When you say move from one parking spot to the next, what do you, well, I guess, are we talking about side by side, parallel parking spots? Like, what do you mean?
It was it's parallel, so it's against the wall, and he moved from one spot to the other as I was passing him. So, like I stated, I made a tier one, make sure he was okay, because I already smelled the marijuana. And when I got closer, he rolled the window down. I smelled the overwhelming odor.
And so, if I'm understanding, are you saying he moves forward, he just drives his car forward one space when you say move from one spot to another?
Yeah, basically it. One spot to the other.
And when you approach, you don't see any sort of tools or anything like that, any weapons.
No weapons, just a book bag of marijuana. That's all.
How many officers and deputies are either or are on the scene when you approach?
It was just myself initially, and then my backup arrived and just helped me stand by with Mr. Harris while I searched the vehicle.
And when you stop, where do you stop your vehicle in relation to Mr. Harris's vehicle?
Right in front of it.
You say right in front of him?
Yeah.
And, and just to be a little more clear, when you say right in front of him, you mean like as in you would be parallel parked if that
Yeah.
in the next space ahead of him?
Yeah, because what I did is I turned to a parking spot, reversed, and got behind him, made contact with him, and then my secondary officer got in front of him because it was, one way in, one way out. And we didn't want to block anybody else from leaving.
I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. I thought you said you got in front of him. Then I thought you said another deputy got in front
No,
of
I got behind him.
him.
My backup officer, when he came in,
The audio's cut out on my end. Here.
Yeah, deputy, can you hear me? Yeah, your audio's
The
out.
audio's cut out.
Yeah.
Sounded like it may have come back. Say something else there.
uh,
Okay, I think maybe we've picked you back up.
he picked me back up.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay.
So, all
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So I think you would kind of explain. I'd asked about which one of you all was in the front, and I think you were explaining that.
Yes. So when he moved forward to the next parking spot, I had to make a turnabout to get back out. And then I noticed that he moved to the next spot, and I stopped my car behind him. I approached on foot, which is like from one end to the other. I got him out the car. By that time, the secondary officer came and parked in front of him. If you remember, it's a one way in, one way out, and there's other guests there. That's about it in terms of the parking.
And the drugs that you alleged were found, because number one, this book bag, Um, do you know whose book bag it is?
Yeah, his. He said it was his book bag.
And just so we're clear, you're saying you asked him specifically, and he literally told you that it is his book bag.
Yes. So I asked him where the marijuana was. He said it's in my book bag in the back seat.
No, I think on direct. Hang on 1 second. Just wanna double check. You mentioned that based on your knowledge, training, and experience, you believe the substance to be marijuana. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What what constitutes marijuana to you as far as your knowledge, training, and experience? What makes something marijuana in
Green
Georgia?
leaf, green leafy material. Um, they have a special type of bud that has a flower pattern. Um, it's the difference between a marijuana plant and what's the plant that gives you allergies when you smell or do it? Poison ivy. It's the smell, a strong odor that it's very identifiable to marijuana.
No further questions at this time, Judge.
All right. Ms. Thomas, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And does the state have any other witnesses today?
Not at this time.
And Mr. Rogers, are you presenting any witnesses today?
No, sir, Judge. Just argument.
All right. And Ms. Thomas, do you want to reserve?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Rogers, go ahead.
Thank you. If I could have 1 moment, I just want to get my windows cooperating over here. So, Judge, I'm going to start with, I guess, my first issue thus far is the idea that what's been testified to is sufficient to establish that what Mr. Harris is alleged to have possessed is marijuana. Number one, part of the reason I asked the deputy what his understanding of marijuana is because, it has a very specific definition. OCGA 161321. This is a B. Oh, paragraph 16. I guess we call it paragraph 16. Specifically says that marijuana does not include hemp or hemp products, as such terms are defined in Code Section 2-23-3. That's Code Section 2-23-3 says that hemp means the cannabis sativa plant and any parts of such plant. Then it talks about seeds and other parts and ways, formulations, that does not exceed the legal limit. The legal limit means a total delta 9 THC concentration that is lesser of 0.3% or the percentage limit set forth in 7 USC section 1639. This is from the Georgia Code. When I asked the deputy about it, he didn't say anything about any of that. So, it's not clear that he has enough information to ever make that assertion that anything is marijuana if he's not aware of what constitutes marijuana in Georgia. There was a discussion about poison ivy, which I'm not really sure what the relevance of that was. Additionally, there's no discussion or any basis to say that Mr. Harris knows what the term means or that he was in any way asserting that it met this legal definition. So for those reasons, Judge, I would ask that the charge of marijuana possession be dismissed for lack of probable cause. As it relates to loitering, what I'll say about that is that there's loitering means it's in a time and a place, and in such a way that cause alarm for the safety of people or property. It doesn't just mean that you're somewhere near a no loitering sign. That's not what the law says. It could just say if you're by a no loitering sign, you're loitering. That's not the case, Judge. I asked him, had Mr. Harris made any contact with any people, any property, or not there been any calls or anything like that for him. He's at a hotel, which generally hotels to some extent are open 24/7. So there's no basis to allege that he was loitering. It's not anytime you go anywhere for any purpose that may be unlawful. That's not necessarily loitering. Um, so for those reasons, Judge, I would ask that both charges be dismissed for lack of probable cause. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, for the most part, the state is going to stand on the testimony of the officer. I just would like the court to consider a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to start from the bottom up. For the loitering and prowling, the officer, I believe, testified that he was concerned as to the vehicle just being there, which is what, and then he smelled the odor, which initiated him contacting the defendant to see what was going on. Upon approaching him, speaking with him, smelled the odor of marijuana. I believe he testified to the court that he did have extensive training and knowledge, and being that prior to his employment with the sheriff's department, that he was on the narcotics task force with Clayton County PD. State's assessment is basically he knows it when he smells it. Now, he did acknowledge it has not been tested yet, but he also indicated that the substance had been transmitted to the state crime lab for positive analysis. I don't believe, at least for the purposes of a probable cause hearing, that he's required to know exactly what it to go into the detail that the defense contends that he is required to do. I don't believe that's required at this level. I don't think it's required at the trial level, to be honest, Your Honor. Regarding the loitering and prowling, Your Honor, this part 2 of that, under circumstances that warrant a justifiable and reasonable alarm of immediate concern. This young man did acknowledge he wasn't there as a guest. He was there to meet somebody else to smoke marijuana on the premises that had been clearly marked no trespassing. He wasn't a guest. He was trespassing. He was trespassing to do something that is not legal in this state. State would contend that sufficient probable cause has been established at this point. Left out one part. I give the defendant credit because he appeared to have been fairly straightforward with the officer and acknowledging it was his backpack and that there was marijuana in it, which is exactly what the officer found. So the defendant himself categorized the substance that was retrieved as marijuana. State would contend that based on those elements, state that there's sufficient probable cause for this case to be transferred to the Superior Court.
Okay. Thank you both. Based on the testimony presented, I do find probable cause to bind over both charges to Superior Court. I will issue that order today. Detective Fleming, thank you. That will take care of everything today. You can be excused. And deputies at the jail, that will take care of everything on Mr. Harris's case, and he can be taken back. Thank you.
You know, we still on YouTube.